Hi, if you are seeing the video, then you are a parent of one of my many students in class. My name is Mike Kuykendall. I am your student's English teacher at Woodson. Over the last couple of days, I've talked to a lot of you over the phone or by email to talk about your student and assignments and things as we wrap up the first quarter. I've also come to understand that many of you have not actually logged into Schoology or have logged into it and had some difficulty. So I created this video just for you, just to help you navigate my course in Schoology, how to get to Schoology, things like that. Now, this comes with a big caveat. My course is laid out the same way as other English department courses are, but your student is most likely not taking another English 10 class. So their Schoology may not be laid out the same way, but this should serve as kind of a broad overview. And as always, sit down with your student, right? Sit down with them, have them show you how a teacher has organized their class. They're the ones that are in it every day, so they can probably point out those things or help you find assignments and tests and various other kinds of minutia. Okay, so I'm starting here on this is the general Google screen. I'm going to show you how to get to Schoology from the go. All right. So all you need to do is if you search FCPS, if I type it correctly, and Schoology, as you've seen, I've practiced and misspelled it. So we'll spell that correctly. Then this is the first page of Google. Okay. Now you'll see right here, we've got student. You don't want that. You want parent and guardian. So this right here is what you're looking for. Schoology, parent and guardian, Fairfax County Public Schools. Okay. So if you click on that, that is going to take you to a page that looks like this. There are many different language settings on this in case you need to utilize something other than English. Now, SIS is the system you're probably familiar with. You should have a login for SIS. In terms of grades, the numbers that are listed in SIS are going to be the most accurate. Okay, Schoology is set up to show some grades, but the final calculation may not be the same as it is in SIS. SIS is what is utilized to print onto grade reports, okay, on the report card. So that is for grades. If you're trying to see the difference between the numbers, SIS is the go-to, okay? But Schoology is where your student spends most of their time doing the work. You'll see this button right here that says log in to Schoology. When you click on it, you'll see a login on the right-hand side. Now, this is my login for as a teacher. It's going to look slightly different than yours. As you can see in these instructions here, parents and guardians use the same username password as their SIS parent account to log in. Okay, so if you can't remember that, there's a forgot password button, but essentially you're using the same login credentials as SIS to log into this. Okay. Once you log into Schoology, you'll see the environment here, okay? You've got some different options. Now, mine is going to look slightly different. When you log in for the first time, you're going to probably come up on this section that says recent activity, okay? Now, if you have multiple students in Fairfax County Public Schools, this is probably going to honestly be a mix of activities from those schools. So, if you have kids at Lake Braddock or at Kings Glen or Kings Park or anywhere else, you'll have a mixture of items. All right. In order to identify a singular student of yours, what you need to do is you come over here to the right hand side and you'll see your name. And if you have a drop down, my drop down is slightly different. Yours will have your students. Okay. So if you have a child at Woodson, they will be available here. If you have a child in another school, you'll see them as well. All right. So that's how you switch between your students. Once you do that, this recent activity should only be from that student's school. So once you've selected your student from Woodson, you'll see pretty much the same thing that I see here. Information put out. This is what students see a lot of time as well. So what you want to navigate to for your students is courses. When you click on this tab right here, you will get a selection of your students' courses. Now, obviously, all these have my lovely face on them. So that is, these are all my classes, but your students should have a variety of different images. We're going to pick one at random. We'll just pick course 5 at the moment. So this is my 5th period. You will see something akin to this for your student. If you happen to be in my 5th period, you'll see exactly this. But most of my periods are going to be laid out the same way. Once you navigate to the class, which will have my lovely face on it with your student's period, and we'll say English 10 regular, English 10 honors, Mr. Kuykendall. Then we come to the main area. This is the materials. Most of your students understand this area is where information is organized. I have mine organized. This purple folder never changes. It is the general information. I can click on the caret to take a look at the information that is within this folder, or I can click on the folder itself to navigate into it. All right. Here you will find the common syllabus, a handout on parts of speech, a handout on literary devices, a welcome survey your student did at the beginning of the year for English 10, as well as back to school night. So if we want to go back, we can either click up here to go back to the main part of the course. We can see here, there's actually the video embedded right here for my back to school night. So if you're wondering about English and how it's laid out and how we're approaching things in English 10 this year in the curriculum, that video is for you. Right below that are the slides that I utilized in the video, so you can go through those if you like. Then you see our course material. Now, this course is laid out in 5 units. This year we began with an introductory unit, Why Stories Matter, which is what most of your students have already finished off as we wrote our personal narratives. We are now on to the next unit, which is conflict, which is tied to our text. For honor students, we are reading Frankenstein. For regular students, we are reading Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. So on either of these folders, we'll start with Why Stories Matter. If I click on the caret again, I will see a series of subfolders. These are folders that your students use to access various parts of that specific unit. Okay, so slide decks, these are all the slides that I utilized. They are posted with the date that we first used them in class. That way students know what order they're in. You can click on them and they are a PDF version of the slides, but any links to videos or other things are active, so they will be linked. You can use this to go through all the different aspects. Okay. If we want to go back, we can just hit the back button, or we can click on the Why Stories Matter folder. After slide deck, we also have activities. There are assignments in here, quizzes, things like that. There's sometimes short stories. Anything we're actively doing is usually within activities. Resources, which are access in the first unit to all the short stories and PDFs and things that students would use for preparing for quizzes, getting ready for moth sections. Each moth section was paired with a written story as well as a moth audio story. And all of those can be found here, as well as our character archetypes. And then we have the summative. The summative is the key assignment that was a personal narrative that students have written. These are individual sections. There is also the Moth Project Guide. That is a general guide that goes over the entirety of the project. The final section, the paper, being under Moth Project Part 6. So, why stories matter? The reason why it looks like it does, which is different from the other ones, it looks white and it's now lower, is because it's been archived. So we have completed that unit. We have moved on to the next one. So the unit we're working on now is conflict. Um, in conflict, the folders are laid out the same. We have not begun the summative just yet. The summative is going to be an infographic at a research paper. Resources, we've got a few items in here. We talk about symbolism. We talk about SIFT is our acronym for annotations. Activities, we've been doing a lot of things in class. There's a pre-reading activity that students completed before we started our text. For regular, it was for Frankenstein. I'm sorry, for regular, it was for Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, and for regular, it was for Frankenstein, as well as a close reading activity. Students are currently working on double entry journals. They're going to be going to the writing center to revise their papers so that they can replace their lowest quiz grade in class. And then we have our class reading sign up. This allows students to sign up for when they're going to read in class. That way, I'm not just calling on them. They get to choose what page and when they're going to read, and they know in advance. And then one thing that's been added, and we had it in the first section, I didn't go over it, TLDR. So the TLDR videos are short videos that are usually 8 minutes or less that are talking about a lesson. So the order of operations in which I do things is first, I will put out the slide deck before we talk about a thing in class so the students have it ahead of time if they want to go through that slide deck. Then we do class where there's a warm up section, a discussion section, there's a lesson, and then there's the activity that they will do. And then I record a video at the end that is a short summation of that lesson that goes over the highlights. That way, students have a chance to see things a few times. These videos are also available on YouTube. They are unlisted, so you need the link, but all these links, once you log into your parent account, you should be able to access. So the broad structure of my Schoology is you have the general materials right here, okay? Then you have the unit folders, and within the unit you have resources. Other departments have decided to do broad units, and within that they have date or week based. So in these folders, you may find week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Okay. Within those are probably materials that are like mine that are dated on the date that they were used. I utilize this as the English department for 10 utilizes this because this made sense for our populations as we have papers that, we were working on the moth paper for a month and a half, almost 2 months. So that's one of those things that this structure works better for ours. But when you go into another teacher's, you may find a different structure. Some of the other things that we have here, grade book. If I won't click on that because it will show all of the student grades, but for your student, if you click, there should be a grade section there. It may or may not have grades filled in. Again, it gives you a rough idea of graded assignments. However, like I mentioned, if you're looking for grade numbers, SIS is the default. Okay. So finally, there is analytics, and I believe this is available in the parents section. If you click on it, it should give you some data about your student that may or may not be there. So that is general navigation for Schoology. Again, it is your SIS login. There's a couple other features I want to show you real quick. You will probably have access to this little number right here. This is some kind of mail icon. It's Schoology Mail. It's just like regular email, except it's within Schoology. And then you have notifications. This is anytime your student or you have gotten notifications from teachers in accordance with coursework. So, but hopefully this gives you a chance to kind of get a better understanding. And as you go in to navigate, again, best thing you can do is sit down with your student and talk with them about how the class is laid out and ask them how to find the materials. Your student is the one. Sorry, it's my grammar shirt. Your student is the one who's in it on a daily basis. They're going to have a very good understanding of where things are located. But if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I hope you have a good evening.